We were earlier today, but you're not wearing. We were wearing the same shirt.
We were twinning.
We were.
Today.
We were.
We'll probably be twinning again later. Once I
later.
take off my suit coat. But
Yeah.
For now.
For now.
So we don't get roasted on the internet.
I suppose. Okay, do your job.
Welcome to this Facebook Live. It is Tuesday morning, another frigid day for us. We're going to talk about those temperatures just in a little bit here, Dylan. But first, before we get into that, I want to tell you, make sure to watch the Facebook Live every morning between 8 and 9 o'clock. We do this. It's kind of just a fun way to give you the latest local news headlines, the weather headlines, what's going on in sports as well. You can find us on our InForum YouTube channel, and you can also find us on your favorite podcast platform. Just go to inforum.com/podcasts and look for that InForum Minute. So, Dylan, let's dive into those temperatures today because we know it was another very frigid morning.
Yeah.
Still morning, obviously, but slightly warmer than yesterday today, right?
Yeah, by a couple of degrees. But, I'm kind of the thinker of when it gets so cold, it all feels the same. It does
I
not,
agree.
but it all just hurts after a few minutes.
When it's like negative, it's all kind of
Yeah, it just
like,
hurts.
It's cold.
Yep, it's cold. And it was cold again this morning. I did some fun experiments. I froze a shirt, cotton shirt. Cotton shirts just generally freeze faster, so that's what I did. I also did polyester pants that did freeze.
Eventually.
Which took about 15 minutes instead of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So some fun experiments you can do in the cold. I also took a balloon outside and watched it deflate. Of course, that's what happens with tires in your car. And tomorrow, we have more ideas.
Yeah, they're going to be fun.
Yes.
And it's cool just to see you do those because, they're just a really good demonstration of how cold it is and how the cold affects things and that kind of thing. Because we all know it's cold, but when you see it impacting something like that, it kind of puts it into perspective. So
Yeah,
thanks
and
for
it's
doing
fun.
that.
It is fun. So yeah, we're gonna stay cold today. We're actually hopefully going to get above 0.
Woohoo!
I know, that's exciting news. A couple of flurries, and then we're tracking a cold front that moves in later in the week. And Thursday, Friday are both looking cold again, especially the mornings, probably similar to this morning, teens below 0.
Yeah.
Cold. But this weekend doesn't look all too bad. It looks like warm up back into the 20s. So that's nice as we look ahead to the weekend.
Yeah.
And guess what? Today is the last day of January. You know what
Yeah.
that means? Today is the last day of the coldest day of the climatological month.
Wow. Say that
So if you
again.
go by
Say
every
that
single
again.
month, January through December, and you look at the average temperature climatologically, January is the coldest.
Yeah.
So once we're done with today,
Clear sailing.
maybe. We'll see. But of course, spring is coming up. Lydia mentioned this morning, you can see the sunrise now on First News, just a little peek of it. I'm so excited for when. This is a complete tangent here. But on First News, I'm always outside and it's always dark and it's terrible. It's not terrible. It's just dark. I am so excited to see the sun again on First
bring
News.
some
I'm going to be
light.
jumping up for joy in March. I think it's March 6th. I have it circled on my calendar.
Yeah.
The day that we have a sunrise on First News.
It just brightens the mood.
It does. It
good.
literally does brighten the mood.
All right, before we let you go, Dylan,
Yes.
did you watch the newest episode of The Bachelor? Or
Of course I watched the newest episode of The Bachelor, and Lydia did too. We're about to get into our deep dive discussion, and I don't really understand it. It was very confusing. There were many things I have questions about.
Oh, my
but
goodness. Yeah,
we'll leave that off the Facebook Live.
That's fine, but we wanted to keep track because
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
you're committed this year.
Yeah,
so
yeah, you better be too.
I'm not.
Okay.
Sorry.
Maybe The Sopranos.
I'll watch it vicariously through you. Thanks, Dylan. All right, let's dive into your local headlines this morning, starting with some breaking news out of Minot this morning, where a man has been arrested for suspicion of murder. 32-year-old Darian Jackson of Minot turned himself in early this morning for murder. Police originally responded to a shots fired call just before midnight at the Northwest Minot Hotel. When they arrived, they found a man unresponsive with a gunshot wound. He was brought to the hospital, but later died of his injuries. We are working to learn the victim's name this morning and what formal charges Jackson will be facing. Of course, stick with the news leader for updates on that story. Also new this morning, we now know what led to a head-on crash in Moorhead. 28-year-old Alan Walker is now in jail following that accident for a suspected DUI. Walker was heading south on Cass County Road 81 near Oxbow around 1 o'clock yesterday morning. That's obviously overnight. Walker crossed the center line while attempting to make a left turn onto County Road 16. That's when he hit 37-year-old Marissa Merkel and her passenger, 46-year-old Brandon Johnson, in a head-on collision. Merkel and Johnson were brought to the hospital. They were discharged later, but Walker took off from the scene, went to his home, where police later found him, and then they brought him to the hospital as well. But now Walker is being treated for those injuries. He tried to escape while that was happening, eventually was caught again by authorities. He's facing several charges in this incident. Big story here right now, a Carrington daycare provider is behind bars facing murder and child abuse charges. This all 4 months after the death of an infant that was in her care. 48-year-old Patricia Wick remains in jail this morning on a $500,000 bond. The charges stem back to September 26th when officers were called to Wick's home daycare for an unresponsive 5-month-old child identified by the family as Reed Nelson. Doctors quickly determined the child had suffered a traumatic head injury and went into cardiac arrest. The child was airlifted to Fargo but died 2 days later. The medical examiner said that the baby died from blunt force trauma to the back of the head and the neck. And after initially denying that she knew what happened in the situation, later Wick came forward saying she may have put the baby down too hard because she was frustrated with him. She is due back in court in a week, and if convicted, she faces life in prison. 65-year-old Gary Kopass has been arrested following an alleged assault. It happened at a South Fargo apartment back on Friday of last week. And police were responding to a call that someone had been attacked with a blunt object while clearing snow behind a complex. The police were able to identify Kopass after reviewing security footage and finding evidence at the scene. He was later arrested after police spotted his vehicle while searching for him. Now, Kopass is currently being held in the Cass County Jail on a Class C felony charge of aggravated assault. All right, today, Governor Tim Walz will be signing into law a bill that will protect Minnesotans' access to abortion and reproductive health care. As we first told you on First News, this bill in the Minnesota Senate was passed early Saturday morning after more than 15 hours of debate, which just shows you how much is going into this conversation, how much is going into that bill, because we are learning that it's not only about abortion protection, which it will give Minnesotans full abortion protection, it also protects for family planning, sterilization, preconception, and maternity care. Walz is going to sign that bill today at noon. All right, here's kind of a fun story. We all know Giving Hearts Day is just around the corner, and to celebrate 100 years of banking, Gate City Bank will give $100,000 to one charity participating in Giving Hearts Day, which is really cool. The charity will be randomly selected, but individuals can go to the website and nominate their favorite charity for the prize. The way it works is that the more times you submit a nomination, the more chances that charity has to win the big prize. I'm sure all of them will be worthy of it, but only one will get that grand prize of $100,000. However, Gate City will also donate $5,000 to 5 other charities. So a lot of good stuff going on there. That's coming up soon. We're going to have a lot of live coverage for Giving Hearts Day. We're going to be doing a lot of live segments, live interviews, promoting it. Such a good event, so make sure you're preparing for that. All right, some national headlines this morning. Sad news, the actress known best for playing the bubbly Shirley Feeney on the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley has died. Cindy Williams' role on Laverne and Shirley, which was a spin-off of Happy Days, endeared her to millions and made her a household name that many of you do know and recognize. In case you didn't know, Laverne and Shirley actually ran for 8 seasons from 1976 to 1983 and was one of the most popular television shows on at the time. During its prime, huge show. Williams did die after a brief illness. That's according to her family. She was 75 years old, so we remember her today. All right, we are tracking updates in that Tyre Nichols case. We now know that 3 responding Memphis fire personnel have also been fired in connection to his death, and 2 more Memphis police officers have been relieved of their duty as well. This has actually led Nichols' parents to ask more questions about the situation. And of course, there's continued talks of police reform happening across the nation, as well as at the federal level, all in connection to this incident. We're going to continue to follow that both on air and online. So stick with us for any updates there on that case and what happens going forward with the officers and everyone involved in that terribly tragic situation. All right, a couple things to remind you of before we let you go this morning. Hot Mic will be on at 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock with Dom Izzo, talking about all the day's latest sports headlines and things coming up. That's on WDAY Extra and InForum.com. You can find it there. And don't forget, you could get a good deal on a subscription to InForum.com right now for your first 3 months. It's going to be 99 cents for an all-access pass. So take advantage of that deal, folks, because you can get all sorts of local headlines, your local weather, as well as other feature stories, sports stories as well. So a really good deal there for lots of good content. And remember, join us again at 11. Lisa Badeau is actually going to be doing the 11 o'clock with Dillon today, so you can see them at 11. get your latest updates on headlines, latest weather headlines that Dillon was talking about just a bit ago. Then again, at 4 o'clock, we have our newscast, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. And then again, tomorrow morning, we're going to be back here for first news from 5 to 7 a.m. So join us then for more experiments out in the cold weather, as well as all of your latest headlines from around the region. Until then, have a great day, folks. Stay warm and stay safe out there.